Hey, that's proof you can't roll a 2CV. My name is Oliver, and this is my dad, Andrew. He's a wicked engineer and my next door neighbour. We've always wanted to build a car together. So when I found my dream car in nightmare condition, we decided to embrace it, seize the day and re-engineer the entire car from scratch.
Well, it's looking more and more like a car every single day.
And make your own gear knob kit. There you go.
A K20A2 from a Honda.
Things don't always go to plan. But when they do, it's a thing of beauty. Building a car and making memories with my dad. One of one, this is Project Mosquito. Hello!
Hello and welcome back to the workshop.
That was a really weird hello. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
Just as the water pump turns on.
That pump has the best timing in this workshop. It's not me and you, that pump wins it. We need to do the centre console and stuff, but Dad has caught us up by doing a ton of welding in between videos. So he's got all of this welded in.
Yeah, and for the first time, the bodywork and the chassis line up beautifully.
So now we can put our centre console in, we can get this in finally. We're getting closer and closer to paint. Right, one of the reasons why we're in such a rush to get this thing painted is when I was a kid, my dad always said to me, if you want to keep something nice, the best way to do it is not let it get in a mess in the first place. And so it's crazy humid and this thing will rust, so we've got to get it painted.
We're putting the passenger side footwell in, but we're not touching the driver's side because we've got to make the pedal box yet. And obviously we don't want anything to foul the pedal box. Obviously your brakes are one of the most important things on your car. So we need to have everything as ergonomic as possible and everything just exactly in the perfect position.
We don't want to find out that we need 5mm more toe room on the driver's side. And let's face it, the driver's side of the car is actually asymmetrical to the passenger side. The rear hoop that holds the back of the engine in and the suspension is different. This entire floor section is different. The center tunnel is different. So we need to leave room for the toe box to be different if necessary.
Yeah. So we just get it exactly spot on.
Center console in first.
Yeah, it might be an idea. Gives a bit more wiggle room. Oh, look at that. My tin of grease is just the right radius.
Now, one of the issues with Mosquito is I want to take inspiration from stuff, but there's a big difference between inspiration and you take inspiration too far, if you will.
Can you just hold that camera?
And I don't want it to feel like a replica of something.
No, because it's its own car,
yeah,
in its own right. There's nothing in the world like it.
Yeah, but I hate replicas because I always think when people make replicas,
it's all right. No, there is some replicas that are superb, like Beast of Turin.
Right. No, it's not really a replica though. He found actual bits,
parts,
right? Yeah. But if you make 100% tool room replica and it is exactly the same, and I'm talking same kind of metal in the screws, right? That made in the same place, the rivets being exact. If it is a tool room replica, I'm completely fine with it, right? But when someone makes like the Gardner Douglas Cobras, right? A Gardner Douglas Cobra is better than an original Cobra. Well, if you can make a car better than a Cobra, why wouldn't you give it its own body, have it its own way, and it be its own thing? Because that car does not drive like a Cobra. It's wrong.
No, it's not trying to kill you.
Right, exactly. And so, because it's not murdery, it's not a Cobra, and so you've made a car that's kind of a tribute band. Is that exactly 1 mil?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you see that very definite edge?
Mm-hmm.
I think if we round the edge of the jaw, we won't get the definite edge the same. So basically what we're trying to achieve with our little tool is amateur, funny angle, but sod it, right? That's our slot. You put your steel in and you bend it. But actually, if we put a little tiny radius here, like that, we can get rid of these corners, and so it won't kink the metal as it bends it.
Obviously, in your car, you don't want any, especially on the interior, you don't want any sharp edges. Well, the whole point of doing this is just to blend this radius into the dimple die, and then we've got a nice clean radius. No sharp edges, nothing to catch yourself on.
So it just finishes it all off nicely.
And it's also aesthetic. It could be it just makes everything come together. So now we can weld that in there, and you see it continues the radius. You can bring that forward. That continues this radius the whole way around. So I set it. It looks spot on.
The centre console, for some reason, is kinked towards the driver. What we do when we make these panels in previous videos is we make them to a stage, and then we kind of trim them up for fitting afterwards to give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room. But for whatever reason, the centre console just wants to twist towards the driver. Yeah, we put a bend here to make sure that the centre tunnel and this match, so they've both got a slight crease. So, because this plane and this plane are different, and so that slight bend shortened this panel, which knocks that over. Ideally, for an internet video, you do something that is actually quite easy to do, but looks really difficult. This is the exact opposite of that. It's really difficult to do, and yet it looks really simple and like we're not doing anything. It might seem a bit over finicky, us trying to line this up and get it all absolutely perfect, but it is load bearing, because obviously this is a knee bar, then this is 1 millimeter thick steel, so 1 mil and then 1 mil, and then that transmits force down into the centre tunnel. Inside the centre tunnel there is the shifter box, which houses the shifter, of course, but it's a little tiny firewall for our gated shifter, and then that transmits force down into the floor. So any load on here or any sort of twisting force is shared not only by the sides but also the center as well. It's massively stiff. So while we wait for this to cool, last week I had a comment from DJJAW11. I assume you're an MR2 owner, or were an MR2 owner, who asked why we aren't putting Watermark wheels or I think it was TE37s on this car. If you're unfamiliar, TE37 is a modern Japanese wheel that looks really good on just about everything. It's the little black dress of wheels. It's like, it's the go-to for anybody who has a classic car, wants to look classic, wants to look in keeping, but at the same time wants just something that goes with everything, right? And I agree, Watermark TE37s look good on everything. And that's my problem with them. In fact, a GTM originally comes with a mini light style wheel like this. This is an original GTM wheel. This is one that I sprayed up quickly. Don't look too close. I only did a quick paint job to hang it up because I wasn't willing to spend days and days and days making it perfect. But one of my biggest problems, hey, there goes, told you it has fantastic timing. One of my biggest things with this car is that it is its own unique thing. It's not a modified car, right? And everybody knows what a Civic looks like on a set of TE37s or a pair of RPF1s, Enquiries RPF1s, or an MX-5 looks like on a pair of RPF1s, or Watermarks. And the reason we all know what that instantly looks like in our head is because we've all seen it a million times. Because I can grab my phone now, and I can, without moving from this room, I can go online and order a set of TE37s. I don't even need the money to pay for them. I can pay so much a month, and in a few days, a set of wheels will arrive in a box. And that's okay, right? But it's a build to order thing, right? And the reason why we all know what an MX-5 looks like on mini lights, or an MX-5 looks like on a Watermarks or RPF1s, is that we've seen it a million times, and so it's ordering off a menu. It's not an expression of my unique inspiration. It's just, I want my car to look like that other guy's car. And that's fine, if that's what you want. If you have a Civic and you want to put those wheels on, or you have an MX-5 or whatever, and you want to put those wheels on, that's absolutely fine, you know. But we all know what Van Tri spokes look like on an RX-7. It's been done a million billion times. And my inspiration for this car is not Japanese. My inspiration for this car comes from the same place where the Japanese got their inspiration from. Because I don't want to make a replica of a car that someone else built in Japan, right? You know, there's a really cool car called the Prince R380. The Prince R380 is Prince and Datsun together made Nissan, basically. That's the history lesson. And Prince made the Skyline. The Skyline is originally a Prince, not a Nissan. But they brought the Prince name when they became Nissan, and that became the Nissan Skyline GTR that we all know and love. And they made a car called the Prince R380 because Porsche took a bunch of, I think they were 904s, to Japan, and they competed in a thing called the Japan Grand Prix. Japan Grand Prix is like Japan's version of Can-Am. It was like it was full-blown Le Mans style racing in Japan. And I'll be honest, Prince, in their whatever they were racing at the time, got the backsides handed to them. And so the guy who was running the racing division at Prince went, well, if you can't beat him, join him. Let's make our own Porsche 904 style car. And they made this gorgeous little Dino prototype thing. In fact, there's two versions of it. There's a first gen and a second gen. And my inspiration comes from the same place as Prince got their inspiration from. Because I love all of that stuff too, you know. In Japan, the Lotus Europa is huge. There's a bigger Lotus Europa community in Japan than there is anywhere else on Earth, and the reason is that Lotus took, and a lot of British people don't know this, and it amazes me, but a lot of British people took, Lotus took Lotus Europas with like Formula engines to Japan and competed in the Japan Grand Prix, and there's like anime and stuff with Lotus Europas from the 1970s and early 80s. And so they're iconic. There's a Body Shop Happy do like a full carbon bodied Lotus Europa. It's flipping stunning. And they put SSR Mark IIs on their cars. They look wicked. SSR Mark II is it's a 4-spoke cross style wheel that's a 3-piece wheel, but they're not really a 3-piece because they're welded inside. These wheels here are Gotti P075Ps, right? These aren't the original rims. The original rims are on my wheels. These are extremely valuable and rare wheels. One of the reasons for that is these centers are what Porsche used in the IMSA series. You'll find a lot of photos of IMSA Porsche 911s with Gotti 075Ps on. And they're worth a lot of money. I didn't pay a lot for them. I'm lucky I found them. I think they weren't originally on a 911, they were probably on like a 914 or a 912 rally car, because it was a square setup, that's why I've been able to put them on here. But the other car that ran non-P075s was Mazda's RX-7, a Japanese car racing in the IMSA series on French wheels in America. Now, many of you will know that the RX-7 is the most winning car in IMSA history. I think it had 100 wins, like exactly 100. So yeah, Japanese car racing in America on French wheels that weren't available to buy in America. Bit weird that, isn't it? Right? Now, later on, Ronal did distribute Gottis in America, and a lot of Porsche people adore Americans call them Ronal Gottis, because that's how they were sold in America. But, going back to Mr. Prince and his R380, I nearly called it the R360 then, that had Watanabe wheels on, right? From factory, and it had the regular RS Watanabes on the front. I think they were magnesium. Watanabe, if you are unfamiliar with Japanese wheels and stuff, Watanabe basically made a Japanese mini light. I think in World War II they made wheels for Zero fighter planes as well. And then obviously after World War II, not so much demand for fighter plane wheels in Japan, so they started making car wheels instead. But on the back of an R380, there is a wheel that looks a lot like a wobbly web, a Lotus wobbly web. It's a 4-spoke wheel made by Watanabe. And it's called, if you look it up, a Watanabe Gotti. G-O-T-T-I. Gotti. Right. These are originally, those centers are for a BMW rally car, by the way. That's for a BMW 2002 or 2002 rally car with the IMSA rims on, and it just so happens to be spot on for this. And it just shows how much of an influence European car culture and European racing had on Japan. Not the stuff that necessarily we did here, but the stuff that we exported there. There is a reason why the Bozuzoku all run Marshall headlights. Marshall was a French headlight company. My Citroen 2CV has a Marshall windscreen wiper motor. The Japanese love Marshall so much that they actually bought it, and that Marshall is no longer owned by a French company. And there's this bizarre interplay between France, especially, but Europe and Japan. In fact, Miyazaki, who owns Studio Ghibli, famously daily drives the same car as me, a Citroen 2CV. And it's why in so many of his films there's old European cars. There's this bizarre thing. It's like right now the coolest car you can own in Japan is the Renault Kangoo. Which is the same van that my postman drives. And it's bizarre, but it's true. And so a lot of the retro Japanese stuff is directly linked to retro European stuff. And I'm not building a replica of a Japanese car. And so for me to get parts from Japan, even though my front suspension is Japanese and my engine was built in Britain by Honda, obviously, who is a Japanese company, the this car is quintessentially European. It is quintessentially an expression of my own artistic whatever vision, right? I don't want it to be a replica of anything else. Like, I'd hate for someone to think it was a Ferrari or something. And so I'm hugely inspired. You know, there's a big difference between like theft and inspiration. And you know, there's that old saying, isn't there? You know, good artists copy, great artists steal. And I'm massively inspired by the same stuff as the Japanese and the same stuff as Mr. Prince, who, I don't know what his name was, I'm terribly sorry, but the director of Prince who built the R380. I'm inspired by the same stuff. And luckily, being in Europe, I can get a lot of the new old stock stuff that the Japanese adore. And so I didn't want to just go and get a set of wheels that anyone can buy. Instagram is full of people who want to show you how much money that they have. Money doesn't necessarily buy taste. It's the only thing that money can't buy these days. And I wanted to build something that was absolutely unique, that could stand on its own 2 feet and that would look, you know, you can't buy those wheels anywhere. You'd have to buy a set, you'd have to find a set first of BMW 2002s, and then you'd have to find a set of those rims. And these wheels, if you can find a set, I think they still reproduce these Porsche ones, but not in this size. And so if you could find a set of these to take the rims off them, I think they retail for something like 3 grand. It's a lot of money. And so just money alone can't build those wheels. I might repaint them though. I've been looking at them and I might change the paint scheme. But this entire car, the whole point of it is that there is a bunch of people online, there's a bunch of people on Instagram who are buying this suspension kit and that bonnet and a Z-Tune carbon this and roof alloys and all, you know, every single Singer 911 is the same 911. It is the same car. Yes, they're painted different, you've got a slightly different coloured interior, but you can throw as much money as you want at anything. And I really just wanted to build something that's us. And that you can't just buy, you know? And there's so much online and so many people feeling so bad about their own life because they go on Instagram and it's just like wall-to-wall supercars and JDM this and like 1,000 horsepower that. And I just wanted to build something that was genuinely us and that was inspired by the things that inspire us. But I didn't want to plagiarize, I didn't want to steal. And so, yeah, my wheels are massively Japanese inspired and they are massively French inspired. And they're inspired by Can-Am cars, 4-spokes and 1960s like Jim Clark Lotus wheels. But I want to pay homage. I don't just want to, you know, get a credit card out. And the reason is we want to take the opportunity to do it ourselves and to make something that is authentically us. And to show you that you don't need all the money in the world to buy something. You don't, you know, if you want nice wheels, you don't need to import something from Japan and have loads of money. That doesn't show you have taste, that shows that you have a really high credit card balance. And actually I spent nearly a year looking for those parts to build those wheels. And I managed to get them for one hell of a price. And that's the thing, like, same with my house next door. Like, all my furniture, I've got some incredible antiques. You're gonna lose your mind when you see our headlights, in fact, Porsche people especially, because the headlights for this car aren't Porsche headlights, but they are one of the most historically interesting headlights ever fit to a car, and they are absolute gold dust, right? And I've been able to get stuff just because I'm so patient. But you'll see. That's all I can say is you'll see, right? But I didn't want to just, I don't have all the money. I'm just like you watching this. I started YouTube because I love watching YouTube, not because I have loads of money and I want to show off. Some people think that I have a trust fund or something and that we're like massively wealthy. The fact is, we are massively wealthy, right? Because I've got a family that's amazing. And I've got this work ethic that was instilled in me from day one, and we have a hell of a lot of skill, and none of that you can buy. But that doesn't mean that I've got a master. In fact, I don't have a credit card, and I won't get in debt to build this car, because that's not true to who I am, and it would reflect poorly on this channel, because I actually want to inspire people to do the work. I actually want to inspire. Someone said to me recently, young people don't want to work anymore. Young people, and I'm like, rubbish. Because when I was 15, this is the car that I wanted to build. You know, when I was 19, I was working 7 days a week to come here and have this workshop. This is my dream. And so I don't want to just throw money at my problems. So that's why I didn't want, you know, I wouldn't have TE37s or RPF1s if you gave them to me, to be honest. Because I want to build something that money can't buy. That's it. So we can crack on with welding now, because it should be cool. Because I've got on long enough. But yeah, it's true, isn't it? You used to say to me when I was a kid, people know the value of, the price of everything and the value of nothing.
Value of nothing, yeah. That's the same thing they used to say for accountants. You know, the price of everything and the value of nothing.
But there is value in things that you can't just buy. There is value in things that you can't just get a credit card out for.
Well, I think the whole point of us building this car is we've got, like I said, we've said it before, we've got a rickety old lathe, we've got a drill press, and tube spanners, a couple of welders, and a roof, so we don't get wet when it rains. And
an aerospace engineer.
Yeah, but
and a man with very little sanity. and a memory for everything. But that's it. It's all the stuff that you can't just buy. And there's a million YouTube channels, and in fact, it's really funny because a lot of the media companies who used to throw 25 grand at a car every episode have just gone bust, or they've been bought by VC investment firms who want to make more content for less money and pay all their employees less. And every single one of those people on those channels, quite rightly, has just left and gone, I'm going to be independent on YouTube. But we've been independent on YouTube this entire time. That's it, you know? And
like I said, the whole thing is that you can build something fantastic with very little.
And the reality is that the Instagram thing isn't real. And I think people feel very badly. It really is to go on on Instagram, feel really badly about your life because you haven't got a massive mansion. It's loads of millionaires showing off what they have.
The thing is, when we first started, if you go back to some of the early videos and you look at our barn doors, and literally the barn doors were over 200 years old and they were wrecked.
Falling apart.
I mean that when the wind blew, it just blew straight in it.
Episode 1, we don't even have a bench in it. We just painted that wall white. But yeah, it's thing. And I don't want anyone watching these videos to feel bad about their life because of what we have. I really don't, because it's by hook or by flipping crook. And I love it because of that. It means something to me because of that. It has value to my life, and none of it is monetary. I don't care if this car, when we finish, is worth €3.50. I really don't, because it's not for sale. It's not for sale for any price. In fact,
it's priceless.
How many people have reached out to us and asked us to build one of these?
Quite a few.
We've probably had 50 people reach out to us and ask us to build one. And the shifter, our K-Series short shifter, we've had more than that. And we've said no to every single person because we don't want to make parts, we want to make this. Because I spent a lot of my young career making things for very, very, very rich people who didn't know the value of skill because they had none. And they didn't know the value of imagination because they had none. They were very good at being business people, but they actually had no imagination, and they'd just stand there and they'd be on a £5 million yacht and they'd be like, I'd like a gate to go here, but I'd do whatever you want. I once, is it a Pigeon Fontenay?
Yeah, Fontenay-Pijou.
Fontenay-Pijou. At 19 years old, I once took a hacksaw to the back of a €5 million Fontenay-Pijou catamaran and cut the back out and designed a compound curving gate that basically it curves this way and it curves that way as part of a handrail, and I designed a hinge that fit inside it. And I spent a week running around, didn't I? Yep. Trying to get all, because we didn't have a machine shop or anything, so I had to get all the parts made. And the guy was a multi-millionaire jewellery designer, and he had no idea what I'd made him or how special it was. No, he just sold stuff. He was a salesman, right? He weren't an artist, he weren't a craftsman, he had no imagination, and he didn't know the value. And so I want to make this, not to a profit, not to a price. I don't give a damn, right? I just want to make something that's cool and beautiful. Because that's all you've wanted ever to make.
Oh yeah, for years and years. I've made millions of things for lots of other people, and this is for us.
Yeah. And that's it, selfishness. This car is powered by selfishness. Right, thinking about it, it's your fault I'm mental.
Why?
Right, because all of our family is engineers and artists, right? So you're an engineer, my mum studied art, right? Your father was an artist,
yeah,
right? My mum's father, engineer, right? My great-grandfather was a stonemason.
No,
yeah?
Your grandfather was an engineer.
Right.
My grandfather was an engineer.
Right, your grandfather was an engineer, okay. And my mum's grandfather was an engineer,
yep,
who ran a beam engine, right? And then before that, stonemason,
yep,
which is artist and engineer.
Yep.
So I never stood a chance. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, subscribe, because it helps us do stuff. And obviously then, if you click bell icons and stuff, you won't miss videos, which uploads have been a bit sporadic, but they should be getting better. We are getting back into a routine, are we not?
Yes.
And we're also going to be launching a Patreon, and if you want to join that, then there'll be a link to that in our description under this video. And there'll be various tiers where you can do various things as soon as we decide what those things are.
So what I've just done there is, hang on, Oliver. What I've just done there is the pipework that comes through from the heat to the heater comes around and then curls up. So it just gives a little bit more clearance there, just so the heater can come round, and we can now run pipeworks through to the heater. Just a little bit more room.
Now, unfortunately, we've gone over time, which is a massive scheduling problem. We'd planned to make a heater tray, but it's quite involved and the seam sealer needs time to go off. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to seam seal now, and then we'll make our heater tray later, and we can paint it at the same time as we paint the driver's side footwell. So, same sealer montage.
Same sealer it is.
Well, that's about it for our little giant killer this week.
Yep, that's one step closer to paint.
Yeah, and I'm massively proud of what we've achieved in this last 2 weeks, because none of this we're here.
No, the centre console's been upstairs on a shelf for literally years, and it's in. It's welded in.
Yeah, it's been sat there mocking you, weld me in, weld me in, weld me in.
And it's in, and it's staying there.
And you won't have long to wait for the next video, because these videos are now going up every single week. I asked you, the community, what you wanted, whether you wanted a longer video every 2 weeks or whether you wanted a short video once a week. And a lot of you said that you've got like kids and obligations and stuff, and you struggle to get more than half an hour to put your feet up and watch something, and we are your viewership of choice.
Yep, so half an hour it is.
Yeah, half an hour it is. And that's the thing, we are, like, I love our community, you're all fantastic, and so when you speak, we listen. And another thing you've all been asking me for is a way to contribute. Loads of you have been asking if we'll do a Patreon, right? And I've been a bit timid about it. I don't want to ask for money, but if you all want it, then who am I to argue? You know what I mean? So, you know, what the community wants, the community gets, and the community wants to contribute. So, hopefully by the time this video goes up, there'll be a Patreon link down in the description. But don't worry, if you can't afford to contribute to a Patreon or whatever, we will never paywall a video.
Nope,
ever.
The videos will always be free.
always be free and for nothing. But if you want to support this channel and you don't want to spend any money, don't worry, there are loads of ways to do it. You can subscribe, you can like this video, you can share, there's a share button down that will share this video to your social media of choice. Yeah. Or you can just tell your friends about it.
Just tell your friends if you're in the pub or even in your schoolyard. You know, if you saw us in this video about these cars and your friends are like-minded and they haven't heard about us, tell them.
That's a really good way of supporting us, and we are massively thank you. Massively thank you. Thank you massively for all your support, because let's face it, this is the boring bit.
Yeah.
It's hard to make a fun video about suspension geometry.
Yeah, we said this before. People normally start the build at this stage.
Yeah.
You know, with the chassis.
Start with the chassis.
But we started with some sheets and a bit of tubing.
Yeah. So thank you for supporting us up until now. You know, sharing these videos, being a member of our community. We can't ask for more, and you're amazing. So thank you all for that, and thank you for your continued support, and in whatever way that you want to, in whatever way you want to support. And yeah, thank you all. Please be awesome to each other. Don't forget to leave us a comment. Yes. Always happy to see and read your comments. Yeah, we read every single one, and we'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.